Hey everyone, thanks for coming out for this week's workshop. Today will be fairly simple. It's just Linux fundamentals. Not going to take up too much of your time. And let's just get right into it. So what is Linux? It's a collection of open source Unix-like operating systems. It's got many distributions, and it's known for its command line. And if you stay with us long enough, you'll be using mostly Kali Linux. But for today, we're just going to be using, well, I'm going to be demonstrating through Ubuntu. And hopefully you guys installed Linux. If not, you guys can just stay after and we'll help you install that. And some common Linux distributions would be Ubuntu, which is one I'll be using. Kali, which is what OSS will be using, and Tuffix, which will be what the school requires us to do or what to use. I haven't used it since first semester. Then Arch, you don't really need to worry about too much. Just worry about these three. So what are Linux commands and why do we use them? They are programs built into the OS, and it helps us create repeatable complex processes, share data and manipulate them into different formats, and navigate and maintain files. It's pretty much the only way you're going to get through Linux environments. And you're going to be using the terminal when there's no GUI available. How do we use Linux commands? I'll be demonstrating using Ubuntu. So let me just share my entire screen this time. Can all of you guys see my Ubuntu?
Yes.
Yes, cool. So I'm just going to open up the terminal. And I want you guys to follow along. We're just going to start by opening up to a directory. So let's see what I have. I got a bunch of directories. I'm just going to go to documents. I'm going to type in CD, which is change directory. Then type in exactly word for word documents. And what each line means, this part represents the user, the current user. And then this part, it represents the host. And this part represents the current directory I'm in. So if you guys need to follow along, I can just link you guys this cheat sheet. Oh, that's the question. How do I do this in Kali? Yeah, this should be a terminal and in your apps. You found it? Cool. Let me just link the cheat sheet. And this looks like a lot, but it's really not that bad. We're going to be going over file commands first. So I'll be demonstrating along as we go. And all right. So what ls does is it lists all the files or directories that are in this current directory. So let's see what I have in documents. All this stuff I forgot to delete when I use this. But there is a cool, there's another cool feature that ls has. It's like ls-la. It just lists all the directories in detail, like when I created it. And then I'm going to show you guys cd. But if you want to go back a directory, you just want to type in cd ... and that'll take you back 1. There's also a shortcut if you want a CD all the way back to home directory, which is just CD by itself. So let me just show you guys. I just type in CD by itself, it just take you back to the home directory. And the next one is cat. And what cat does is it just outputs whatever file that you decide to output. So I'm going to output just this random file or etc.password. And what this is, yeah, it looks like a lot. And it's pretty much unreadable, but it's a file that keeps track of every user that has access and shows a portion of your encrypted password and who has access to the home directory. And the last one is pwd, which shows the current directory that you're in. So here it shows I'm in home, Matthias, the user. What's this? Oh, I don't have any files. Did you type in ls? Where are the files in Cal? You're on your terminal, right? Okay, and you typed in ls. Sure.
Well, you may not have anything in documents.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing there, nothing will show up. Yeah, if ls-la shows all files and it shows hidden files. So like if you have a hidden file, it starts with a dot, and that's why you see the dot and dot for that one.
Yeah, so there are hidden files and Linux. I'll do it later. And that's it for file commands. Let's go to the next one. Next, we got system commands. Pretty straightforward. Date shows the current time, all in detail, and who am I shows the current user. And echo, what echo does is just outputs whatever you put in after echo. So hello. Just prints out hello there. Next, we got file handling commands. So what CP does is just copies a file into a directory. So I'm just gonna copy a directory straight into my test directories. Let's go. So far I have nothing in here. So I'm gonna hit CP and let's just go back to etc password. And then the destination. And here we got a file called tests, and what MV does, it can move a file, but it can also change the name of a file. So I'm just going to change test into password. And let's just move this out of the way. And to move the file wherever you want it, you just want to type in move file name. And remember this, tilde / to the directory you want it to. So I'm going to move this to the documents. And there it is in our documents. And if you want to remove the file, you just want to type in rm, remove, and then the file. It's gone. Lastly, we got make directory. So mkdir, and then you just name it whatever directory you want it to. I'm just going to name this test1. Not very creative. There we go. We got test1 in there. Next, we got data manipulation. All three of these are pretty good text editors. Vim and Nano, they are mostly text editors inside the terminal. It's just Nano is just a bit easier to use because Vim has a bunch of hotkeys that it gets complicated. And Nano is just much more simpler. And then gedit is actually an external app for text editing. So let me just demonstrate here. Nano's good. Start with Vim. Okay. We are in Vim's text editor. And if you want to insert any word you want, you just want to hit I and then start typing whatever word. And once you're done, just want to hit escape and then shift : WQ. And that will save and quit. Let's see if we have a file here. And if you want to see what's inside that file, remember just hit cat. Words. See the comments. Yeah, I actually started with Atom for 120 or is it 121? 121. That was C++, I think. Problem is, what if you do not have a GUI? Good question. You can just open up one of our texts. Actually, do not know if you don't have a GUI, but
well, I was just saying that if you don't have a GUI, then your only options are really Vim and Nano. So it's always good just to know the basics of either or. Vim is far more powerful than Nano in terms of what you can do, like with text editing. Nano is just easier to remember the hotkeys and manipulate with.
yes.
Yes, Vim is very scary. However, if you become a master at it, oh my gosh, you're gonna blow everyone's minds.
Yeah. Nano's pretty much the same thing, but it's way more simpler. So let's do Nano. Let's go back to words. And I'm going to delete all the stuff.
For Nicholas, it depends on the application. So like Atom and gedit, I believe, are used more for like software development because you kind of need that extra interface to know what you're doing. But that doesn't mean you can't go and program in Vim and Nano. It maybe just be a little harder, a little more annoying. But if you're just making like a quick script or whatever, I just use Vim or Nano. It's really simple. Like if you're making a bash script, then I just go straight to Nano, make my bash script, and then run it. And you can do the same thing with gedit or Atom. It just kind of depends on personal taste, I suppose. And also company policies.
Yeah, it's fine if you go straight to Nano.
So yeah, companies may dictate what you can and cannot do. So like if they have a tool that does like port scanning, they may want you to use that over, let's say, Nmap. It all just depends on what they want. I would not think they're too picky on what you use, but again, it just depends on what company you're at, what they specialize in, what they want.
So for this one, it's not going to be like WQ. You just want to hit Control X to exit. You want to hit Y, enter. and that'll get you out. And lastly, we got gedit. So what gedit's going to do is going to open up an external app to the works. There. So,
Can you zoom in on your screen?
yeah, my bad. And for this part, I'm just going to give it over to Ryan to show you network commands.
Okay. Hey, everyone. So we're going to go over network commands real quick. These we use every so often when we're doing our regular hacking. Can you see my screen over here? Just want to confirm that real quick.
Yeah.
Like VMware, right? Not my other one.
Oh, we can see it full screen. Yeah.
Okay. So here we're going to go over curl, wget, SSH, and ifconfig. Curl is used to transfer data from a server. And we'll primarily see that when we're dealing with web pages. Wget is similar to this, except it automatically downloads it into a file for you. SSH is used to securely connect to another computer if it has the SSH service running. So with SSH, all communication is secure. That's why it's called a secure shell, excuse me. And put in some creds, you're authenticated, and you are now controlling a machine from afar. And ifconfig shows us IP information. So we'll go over these real quick. Ignore this. Okay. All right. So let's say we want to curl something. We usually curl some information off a website if we think it has information that we want, or like it has a lot of information we want, but we want to like funnel it down. So let's say I go, just as an example, we go to google.com. We have HTTP. Hot type. So we have this URL. I'm going to copy that real quick. And question here, is it okay to use the web browser on Kali, or does it have vulnerabilities? You're completely free to use the web browser. If you can't connect to the internet through Kali, that means network configurations are set up wrong. So just let me know if that's the case. All right. I'm just gonna go into my root folder real quick here. All right, so let's say we want to curl google.com. So we'll just do curl, and then I'm gonna paste this real quick. If we do that, we get a whole bunch of information. And this is basically the HTML of google.com. Yeah, like if we went to the source of this right here, control U to do that, we get the same information, except of course it's now on here. And again, what we would do with this information if we are in, let's say, a hacking scenario or penetration testing scenario, is we take this and we funnel down information. And this can be used for things like FTP too, I believe. Like if you can access FTP through the web browser, you can curl information off of there. And FTP is another service, kind of like SSH. So that's a file hosting service. File sharing service, actually. So there's this. So let's say we want to put that into, well, let's say we just want to grab this same information, but instead put it into a folder. Well, we can actually do that in one of two ways. The first way is wget. So we have wget, and if you right here, this is actually a command I did earlier. This is I'm mirroring information off of an FTP server. So this is this. If you see this, well, you shouldn't see this. This is just a command, again, mirror information off an FTP server and make sure it's not corrupted while it's in transit, because FTP can't really transport large files very well. Okay, but let's say we want to wget google.com. We should do the same thing with curl, just instead of the curl, it's wget. Do that. And it's saved. It's saved into index.html. If you don't know about websites, the very first page that you go to when you type in a domain, like www.google.com, the very first page you're led to is always index.html. That's why it defaults to this. You could rename it if you really wanted to, but we're just going to leave it alone for now. Like, let's say I went to lego.com just because I like Legos. If you were to download this page, it would be index.html. Unless, of course, it downloads en.us. Let's actually try that. So if we do wget.com, index.html. All right. So again, it just grabbed this entire web page and downloaded it here. But let's say we went to a different directory. Just accept all, I don't care. Let's go to Star Wars or whatever the thing you're interested in. Let's say we have this URL right here. Copy that, and if we wanted to download this page, wget that entire URL, and we see that it was saved into Star Wars because this is the name of this web directory right here is Star Wars. That's why there's that naming scheme. Now we can do this similar process again with curl with a redirect, or not a redirect, like I'll just call it a caret because I can. Okay, so let's say we had this, and for some reason we didn't want to use wget. Well, we can redirect this output right here, that little, what's that, less than sign, and then put it into a file. Let's just call this file I love Star Wars. We do that, we get a new file, I love Star Wars, and it'll be the same exact information that is stored in this one over here. You can use curl-ol URL. That'll automatically create a file. Right, yeah, pretty sure, looks like it. Yeah, that's curl and wget. All right, clear the screen. Now we have SSH. SSH, very simple. What we do is it's the SSH command, and then we have our username, and then whatever the domain is. So let's say we just had a domain 10.10.10.2. Well, yeah, excuse me. We would then send a connection request to 10.10.10.2. And if it has SSH open, it would ask us for a password, and then we would be logged in. Right now, none of us should have any sort of SSH session available to us because we're not going into a machine. And if you do have one, you can practice that with another VM. I'm not going to show that right now because that'll be a whole nother process. But yeah, this is just a very simple command to log into a computer if, again, it has SSH running on there. Another useful thing about SSH, if you are in a pen testing scenario, there's these things called private keys. Private keys are, if you've learned about hashing, they are just these like, it's like RSA, like MD5 keys that you can use instead of a password. I think I have an example on here somewhere. I can show you guys afterwards, but if let's say you have this key will get you into that server. And to use a key, you would use the your private key. And to do that, you'd use -i, and then you'd use whatever your key name is. So if we have an RSA file, it would just be .rsa. Again, I can show you this. Well, do you want to see this right now? If you want to see it right now, I see one person tell me. Just gonna be a random key. Okay, no one responded. Moving on. Okay, next command is ifconfig. Very simple command, ifconfig. This gives you information on what access you have, like what external access you have. So right now I have an Ethernet port that's connected to my computer, and this VM is using. So that's why I see ETH0. What this is telling me is information about this connection. So right now, my connection IP address from myself, it is called 192.168.43.130. This is my IP right here. So let's say I need a server to send me back information, then I would put this as my own IP. And then it shows me the network mask, the broadcast, and some more information. I believe, yeah, this is your IPv6 address. We don't deal in IPv6, we just don't. This one down here, LO, just local. So this is one, if you know what this means, it's just your local host. So 127.0.0.1. You could definitely try to connect to this, but it won't really lead anywhere, I believe. But yeah, this is just your local address. Localhost just means like, if you try to go to this in a web browser, it'll redirect back to you. It's just going in a big circle. So this is you. There's no place like 127.0.0.1. Hope you got the joke. Okay, are there any questions about curl wget, SSH, or ifconfig? Okay, I don't see any questions right now. All right, next command, permissions. This is the command right here, chmod, to change permissions for a file. Chmod, you need to know some information first. So let's list my files right here. Oh gosh, that's a lot. That's fine. Let's do that instead. So our Star Wars file right here. We see we have these permissions down here, and these are them right here. D right here means directory, so that represents a directory. But this right here, RWX, that's our permissions. Read, write, execute, RWX. This is split right here into 3 categories, even though you can't really see them. Can I keep my Lego HTMLs editing in Star Wars? Yeah, you can. Okay, you can do this on any file or directory you want, but I wouldn't do it on any of them that are very not good to change, like Etsy's shadow. You don't want to change the permissions on something like that. But right here, we have this string. Here, this is a better example right here. You have a string of RWXs. So if you see the RWX, that means you have rewrite execute, but only for specific groups. So the way this works right here, kind of wish we had an image on presentation. I apologize for that. So the first section right here, this represents the root user. The root user currently has read, write, and execute privileges on this directory right here. Then the next one, this is group. This is group privileges. So if I'm in the group of, I don't know, let's just say Star Trek. I'm in the Star Trek group and I want to get into Star Wars, then I can only read. I can't write to it, and I cannot execute. So that's all this means. So if you have this dash right here, these dashes, that means you don't have those permissions. And this last section right here, this last third block, that represents everyone else. So if everyone else has read permissions, then everyone can read this file. Same thing with write, same thing with execute. Now you also have this information over here. This is the owner, this first column. This is the group. That's the way it works. Owner, group. Okay. And then we have this information right here, which is just the number of bytes or bits. And then of course, when it was created. So that's just a brief primer on permissions. The way chmod takes advantage of this is through numbers. So for read, it's a 4, write, it's a 2, and then execute is a 1. Yeah, D means directory. Yeah. All right. These are the numbers that you need to remember: 4, 2, 1. The way this works is in chmod, you have, this is how it tells permissions for a file. So if you say chmod for Star Wars, then it will change the permissions for the user to be read only. And the way to add on more permissions is to do math. So right now we have read write on Star Wars. So that means we have read right here and write. So 4 plus 2 equals 6. So to show you this in action, if we did 6 for 4, this is the current permissions of this file, because we have 6 read write, it's 4 plus 2, and then we only have read on the last one, so 4 and 4. So if we view it again, we see we have the same permission. So let's say we instead 777. Now everyone has read, write, execute permissions on Star Wars. And again, to just change permissions, you just need to do some simple math. So let's change this back to 4. Let's just change this to 5, and let's say the 1 for that. What will that do? Who can tell me? chmod 420. Can anyone tell me what permissions I just gave Star Wars? Yes. Right. So read, execute, and execute on Star Wars. Nice, good job. One thing I will say about chmod, if you do your permissions wrong, bad things can happen. We can elaborate on that more later on, but just so you know, like if you're taking like a network, or like if you're like a sysadmin and you have wrong permissions on this directory, then like anyone can edit anything inside that file, even if the files inside of this directory have lower permissions. No, you don't need a snapshot. Like nothing bad is going to happen right now. We're not dealing with malware. Okay. Now there is a simpler way, a semi-simpler way to use chmod, and that's with using plus X, plus R, and plus W. These will add execute or write or read or write permissions to all groups for a file. So if we do -X for Star Wars, we see that every group now has execute permissions, unlike before where only root did not have execute permissions. So this is just a faster way if you don't want to do some math, but you have to keep in mind you're giving everyone that permission. Okay. But if you mess up chmod, then you are the malware. Maybe. I'm gonna remove Star Wars, index, and then I love Star Wars HTML. There, gone. One thing I do want to note that I don't think we mentioned earlier about remove: when you remove a file from Linux, it's gone forever. There is no recycle bin. So be careful. And definitely don't do this command. Never, ever do that command. That's going to delete your entire system. Everything's gone. Don't do it. So please be careful. Okay? Thank you. Especially if you are the root user. The bad guys use that one to be discovered. Yeah. Yeah, it only takes one command to wipe out your entire system. Think about that. Hey, it's so short. All right, we're going to move on to our next and last command. Unless anyone has any questions about chmod or anything we discussed so far. But if not, I'm just going to continue. Last command right here is man. This stands for manual. Man tells us information, or it gives us the manual for any sort of command that we want information on. So if we do man ls, it'll give us all the information about ls. It'll tell us synopsis, like how to use it, its different flags, etc. So this is just good information if you want to know a command better. It's like, look, ls has so many flags that you can use. So many. Look at all that. You can do that for any sort of command that you have on here. So if I do curl, I'll tell us all the information about curl. It's gonna be a lot. Yeah. Let's say I have, I don't think any of you will have that. Oh, of course. Whatever. But a man will give you the manual for a for a command that you want to use. Some commands also have their own version of this. So like let's say we do dash ls dash dash help. It'll give us that same information, but in a very compressed kind of format. This is the same in the manual page. Okay, that's just dash dash help. This is specific to every command. Some of them are just dash h, some of them are dash help, some of them are dash dash help. It all depends. But if you want to guarantee, then just go with man. I wonder if man works. Man works. There's a manual to the manual, guys. Yeah. That's funny. Okay. Okay. Well, that's all from me for now. Yeah, now I know how to use a man. Yeah. You got it. All right. That was a good one. Now I'm gonna leave this back off to Matthias, who's gonna go with you into a pop quiz.
Whoa. Hold up.
Yeah,
pop
hold up.
quiz. I was gonna go into it. I was just gonna ask. Do you guys remember all the commands that we just showed you?
No.
Well, uh, just oh no, let us know if we need to go over anything.
We have this here. You gotta go through it. Okay, fine. I'm gonna do the pop quiz. Is that fine?
All right.
Okay. How would you list all files on your desktop? Seems like everyone already got it, or Carla got it.
All right.
ls/-la desktop. It's also ls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how would you check your IP address? Carla got it. Eugene got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, IPAA
So no,
also works.
Yeah, PWD was just list out the current directory you're in. And how would you make a new directory? Yep. All right. How would you search for a file for the word OSS? cat,
Remove
which
R.
is output. Remove find anything. Seems dead. Yeah, we're just gonna be using grep. So grep would be the command you're looking for. So that brick the computer too. I don't want to try it, but yeah, there's fine. There's but I'm just looking for grep. That's the most common. Do you want me to go over it? How grep works? Okay. I'm just gonna make a file. So for this command, one hit grep, and grep has different, how to say, has different features. Like for this one, -I, it would just look for case. It would just be like case insensitive search. So if I'm looking for OSS, but if I type it like this, and the file name, which was test. Oh, words, my bad. Just gonna look for the word OSS, and it doesn't matter about caps or no caps. And then other grep features, -C, just count how many times OSS shows up. Shows up one time. And then last one I'm going to show you is whole words. So it just checks if there's whole words in here. Okay. Any questions? Oh yeah, so -I is just a case insensitive search. As you can see here, I lowercase an O, but it still found OSS. It's because it doesn't really matter. Just found the word OSS. Okay.
Can you search multiple files?
Yeah. I haven't done this in like a while. Okay. So let's say I have another file. Let's type in. Grep. Is it OSS? Yeah. Okay, yeah. So what star does is just checks all the files in this directory. Sorry. Yeah, so -W is whole words. Okay. That's pretty much it for grep. Let's move on to the next one. And yeah, Linux has a ton of files in it. What you see here, the blue will represents what you'll be using if you do decide to continue with OSS, you'll be using this for hack the box. So you'll be looking at bin, Etsy, home, and user the most. And I'll just go through what each of the files represent. So bin represents the essential user command binaries. Then boot, which is the files of the bootloader, and dev device files, Etsy, the host specific systems configuration. And in this file, you'll be saving your network if you're doing hack the box. And later on, that will show you how this works. Then home, that's just the user home directories, and the tilde slash is just a shortcut. It's the same thing as home. Then lib, shared libraries, media, removable media, mounted file system, opt, add-on. Sorry, what's the? I want a snapshot to keep star. Yeah, keep Star Wars safe. And opt, add-on, application software package, sbin, system binaries, SRV, data for a system from data for service from system, temp, temporary files, user utilities and applications, and proc, process information. And we got this little graphic to help you. You guys ready? Because I got one more activity for you guys. All right. Let's go. Just create your own command. I'll be going along with you guys. So make sure you guys got your terminal open. And let's do this. You don't have to use nvim. You can just use any text file that I got that I showed you guys. That's a question. So for this one, I'm just going to be using gedit. But first, I'm going to have you guys go to your bin file. So to locate your bin, you just want to go to show other locations, your computer, and then find bin right here. And you just want to hit right click and open in terminal. And that will get you to the bin directory. And then next, I'm just going to open up the text editor. And very important, you just want to make sure you're doing this as root. Sorry. So sudo, which is what you'd be using if you want to run it as root. Sudo gedit, and whatever. Get it. Hold up. Let me change to a different name. Cool. Wait to make this bigger. I don't know if you guys can see it clearly. Hold up. What about now? Just want to type in echo, colon, and then whatever message you want. So, Save, Control S, save, exit out of here. Type in sudo chmod X and the file name. And whatever file you named it as, you can type it out and it will display the message. There you go. First executable. Oh, right. Yeah, you do need to install gedit. Try it with Nano. Yeah, so it works on whatever text editor you decide to use. Vim, Nano, and gedit. Oh, let me go back. Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. Make sure you type in echo before you type in your first message. Common to stick to one of these editors. Some people do. For me, I just use whatever's convenient. Okay, so once you got the file, okay, so once you got the file, you just want to hit sudo chmod +x and whatever name you saved it as. And once you hit that, you can now type in the file name. It will execute. Awesome, awesome. Well, let's try that. Oh, I thought you put it like a new line. Oh, never mind. You guys got it? And for everyone else, it's okay? If you guys got it, pretty much done. And let me just try the screen again. And here I'll just link the resources that you could be using. We got the ACM Discord link, got OSS Slack. This will take you to a registration Google form. And we got some CTFs, practice, more info on Linux. And if you want to reach out to us on Discord, here's our info. I get Slack and chat, yeah. Okay. And we'll be moving on to our Q&A. Oh, situation right now. You go to change resolution. Yeah, let me show you guys. Change resolution, you want to go to your settings. Then you want to go to displays, and it'll show you resolutions, and just change it to whatever.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming out. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we're going to be available afterwards to answer questions if you have any. Other than that, I hope all of you have a good weekend. Next week, we're going to go into pen testing methodologies. And I think that'll be presented by Ashley if she's available. And yeah, other than that, hope you all have a good weekend.